How are you all? How was your weekend? I was just telling Farrah before we came on live that I had a Monday, y'all. I had a Monday, but things like this interview, and I connected with a couple other friends earlier today too. Like that's just what fills my soul. So regardless of how tiring our days can be, like stuff like this is really what rejuvenates me and gets my energy flowing, and just that's when you're truly living your purpose. So if you're watching us live, drop a hashtag live, please chime into the conversation, ask Farrah any questions, give us your thoughts. If you're watching on the replay, drop a hashtag replay. So full disclosure, I've been stalking this girl for like probably a couple of years. I met Farrah actually at an event pre-COVID. It was a real estate event, and I just happened to notice her, and I was like, oh, she's beautiful, first of all, and I was like, oh, who's this girl? And just kind of just being aware of her, and kind of learning from a distance, about what she's up to, and hearing about her from other people, great things. And so I was just kind of watching quietly, from a distance, and kind of following her on social media, like I said, kind of low-key stalking her a little bit. And then I was listening to one of her interviews with another person. And when I got to hear her story, I'm literally getting chills right now just talking about it. I knew I had to reach out to her and actually make a connection, because I knew her story was just so powerful and so profound, especially for our community of women, because I always say this, that's what our community is all about, lifting each other up and really gaining the right knowledge and resources and connections and tools in order to get from, where we are now to where we need to go. Because it's not just the what, it's also the how. So, in her interview, like Farrah talked about, like the how she did what she did, and, what led her into what she's doing now. And it resonated so deeply with our mission. So I was a little scared. I was like, oh, I know she's super busy, and she was definitely someone on my chicken list. But, we made a connection, I think a couple of weeks ago now. And literally, I didn't want to get off the phone with her because she's just so loving and kind. And, her energy was just so amazing over the phone. And I was like, we have to get together in person, one of these days. But I really want her to share with you guys, how she was able to build this multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio from nothing, like from scratch. And what led her into this journey, because it's always our deepest pain and our trauma and our difficulties and just the curveballs that life throws at us that ultimately propels us into our greatness, if we choose to go down that route. Because obviously a lot of people choose the latter, right? They choose depression, or feeling sorry for themselves, or playing small and letting their fear drive their life. But, Farrah was someone who really, in my opinion, took life by the freaking horns, man. And as a single mom, she's crushing it now. So I really just kind of want to give you guys like the big picture first of what Farrah has created, in like this past decade, I want to say. So welcome, my friend. Oh my gosh, so good to have you.
Sophia, thanks for having me. You have so much great energy. I love it.
I love you. So first, let's give a big picture, right? So how long have you been investing in real estate now? Like,
I started investing 7 years ago.
Oh my gosh, only 7 years.
Yes.
Wow. And
yes.
So, and we'll go through like the kind of like the what's and the hows of real estate, guys. So just stay with us. But I want her to share, like, what kind of investing do you do for her? Like, is it rentals? Do you flip properties? Like, what exactly do you do with it?
I do a combination. I do mostly rentals because I do want to create the cash flow, the passive income to the point where, it's done. I can actually retire from my career. So mostly rentals, but I do flips, and I've done a ton of wholesales as well. So it's a combination, and the strategy depends on what's going on in the moment at that time in my life.
Right. And how many like transactions would you say you've done in the past 7 years?
Oh,
like total.
Like total. Okay. So I 38 rentals. So 38 homes is what I own right now. I have probably done about 21 wholesales. So that's getting something under contract and then moving it over to another investor and making, a margin in the middle. And then I've done about, I want to say 7 flips. And most of them have been this year during
Wow.
COVID. Yes.
Oh my gosh. So most of your flips have been during COVID. Wow. Yes. That's incredible. So, oh my goodness. So I can't even do math right now, but
I know it's probably it's probably around 60 plus real estate transactions.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And all less than 10 years. So really since what, 2013, 14?
2014 June is when I first started learning about real estate, because I did not have a single clue about anything at all. So that's when I actually took the classes and then moved forward.
And that's what I love so much, is because you guys, Farrah comes from like a normal, middle-class family, no prior kind of background in this area, no prior knowledge, no rich family member, giving her like a helping hand or anything like that. She learned it all herself. And Farrah, if it's okay, I'd like to kind of go back a little bit and talk about a little bit about your story, like how, because you're originally from India, like you're Indian. You were born here though. You were born in America, but obviously you're a minority woman of color, and as we all know, those of us that are immigrants or that are minorities, like there's a lot of cultural expectations that go into our daily lives, and being a woman, being a wife, being a mom, it's a whole nother ball game. So you were born here, raised here, and then kind of like share a little bit of your journey, like take us maybe like 15 years back, or before this real estate career started. Like what kind of led you into this, and how did it kind of all start for you?
Sure. So I've been in insurance for the past 20 years. I started, so I got married in 1999. I have 2 boys, and now they're 18 and 20, so they're much older. But
which is so funny, because she looks like she's 20s, doesn't she, guys? Oh my God, I can't believe you have older kids. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So when I had gotten married, my husband at the time, he got into playing the stock market, and it was, to the point where I don't know if you guys remember back then, like the stock market just like bombed, and he ended up losing a lot of money, and it was pretty much on credit card debt. So I was freaking out, because I was just like 1 year into the marriage, and now we have all this credit card debt, and I just had a baby. So I was like, okay, how do we pay off this debt? So at that time, I didn't even graduate college. I was 22 at the time. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to get up and get a job, and whatever job I get, and we'll just put it towards the bills. So I got a job making $12 an hour at this insurance company. And it was just clerical administrative work. And then from there, I was doing well. So I got promotion, and then I got promotions and promotions after promotions. In a matter of, I think, 6 years, I had gotten 5 promotions. Wow. And so I kind of just worked my way up into the insurance industry, and all while kind of raising the kids. Well, there was, obviously with any marriage, there's ups and downs, but there came to a point where there was just way too many downs. There was a lot of unjust going on and all of that. So I had decided that, what, like, I can't take this toxic relationship anymore. But I had to, so I actually separated. But when I separated, I had to do it in a way where I couldn't tell him beforehand. So what I did was I rented a home like maybe 4 or 5 miles away. And I still remember the day that I moved out was June 15th. So I was like, okay, I can't obviously take any furniture with me. I can't take anything with me. I just grabbed some pieces of clothing, took it to the house. And I planned a day that I was going to take the kids with me. At the time, they were 7 and 9. So as I'm leaving, he obviously finds out, and like my book has that whole story of what happened as I was leaving. I'm not going to go into it, but I'll leave it for the book. But anyways, I ended up walking into an empty house with these 2 kids, and I had the job, which was, decent income, but it wasn't enough for, it was enough for the day to day, right? But it wasn't enough for like all the other expenses that we all know that comes as the kids are getting older. And the one thing I did know was that I wasn't going to get child support because he wasn't working at the time. And so I was like, all like, I don't want to say burden because kids are not a burden, but the responsibility was on my shoulders. And, you know, my dad had been sick and, you know, I didn't want to bother my family. You know, my sisters were all like students and they were, you know, married and had their own life. And I'm the type of person that I try to keep things to myself. Like, I don't want to bother anybody. I want to handle things on my own, unless I'm like, you know, in dire need or something like that. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? So the first thing I did was I actually went back to school and finished my undergrad. I'm like, okay, this will help. And immediately right after, I was like, let me get my MBA. Because at that time, my mind was more like, okay, you get degree, you get an education, you're going to get this huge increase in pay, right?
Yep.
So naturally, I did that. I did that all part, you know, working full time. I was going to school part time. So anyways, in 2013 is when I got my MBA and I graduated, and I go and, you know, go to my employer and they're all excited, but they gave me a raise, which I was grateful for, but it wasn't like, it's 10-15%. What does that actually do after tax and all that, right? It's like a couple $100 more a paycheck. It's not like,
right,
you know, like I can do much with that. So I was like, oh man, back to the drawing board. Like, this was great. I feel more confident because I have my degree, but what do I do now? So I started researching online and I'm like, man, these other people, how did all these other people get wealthy? Like, you know, it can't just be handed down to them. There's got to be other ways that they've done it. So started researching a lot, and a lot of the wealthy people that I was researching, people that were successful, had done it through real estate. Some people, you know, through stocks, but stocks has always been volatile, meaning it goes up and down. So the actual wealth building comes from real estate. So actually, I signed up for it was near my house. Actually, I signed up for like a little seminar type of thing near the house, and I was very intimidated going by myself. So I called up a friend and I was like, hey, you want to come with me? You know, it's always easier when you bring a friend along, right? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know anything about real estate. I don't know anybody there. So she's like, yeah, sure, I'll come. But then that morning, she canceled. She's like, you know what, I can't make it. And I was like, okay, so now I had a decision to make. Am I going to go by myself, or am I going to just cancel and then wait for the next one? So, you know what, I'm like, I got to make a change in my life. If I don't do this, then, you know, I'll be back in the same circle. So I'm like, I'll just go. And I go by myself. And the seminar was good. And, you know, I learned a lot because I didn't know anything, obviously. And then what happened was I was about to sign up for some courses, but there was a friend that I met over there. And he's like, hey, there's a 3-day seminar coming up the following weekend. I heard that's supposed to be really, really good. So why don't we go check that out first and then we'll decide. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, I'll check it out. You know how it is. You don't just buy something like right away. So I went and checked it out and I was blown away by that seminar. Like I learned so much. I felt like I could also do it. And I ended up joining the courses that they provided. And within a month of joining the courses, I got my first real estate deal. Wow. And all I did was just follow the steps exactly as they were taught. But the thing is, I did the work, right? So that's kind of what started my journey into investing in real estate.
Oh my God. Like, as you were talking about leaving your home and taking your 2 boys and just some clothing, my heart was racing, like as if like I'm there with you and you're making this huge life-changing decision on your own with 2 little kids. And like that, like literally, I felt like I was in the moment with you. I mean, what were you relying on at that time? Like before, but like when your hands were completely empty, you had nothing, like what was that one driving force that kept you going, you know, during that really, really rough, you know, uncertain time? Because like, obviously we always second guess our decisions. Yeah. Like, is this the right thing for my kids? Is this the right thing for me? Could I, because obviously, you know, that's always, you know, people, especially, you know, our families and our culture, divorce is something that's very, looked down upon
Look
very
down
negatively.
upon, yeah.
So people always try to talk you out of it. You know, they downplay it, like, oh, it's not that bad, or, you know, whatever. So what would you say would be that was it faith, or was it just your courage, or like, what would you say kept you going during that time?
Well, I would say that what kept me, so I'm a very spiritual person. So my belief in God and that he would help me through it as long as I made the right decisions. I mean, you don't know if something's the right decision, right? Something like that, you don't know. You're like, oh my God, am I going to mess up my kid's life? Are they going to have psychological issues? Whatever the case, right? And I remember when I was, for 2-3 months, I was going back and forth. Should I do this? Should I not? And I would have nightmares every single night, because when you're in this like battling something in your head, even when you sleep, it's like, if it gets affected, right? So I'm like, there's got to be something and there were scary nightmares. So I'm like, there's got to be something that's going on that I need to make a change. But it was just, I'm doing this for myself. When I realized, because I kind of like looked back and saw in hindsight, like all the things that were happening. And then when I realized that I am being unjust to myself by staying in this relationship, that's when I realized that I need to make a change. And it was from there, pure intention of making my life better for the kids. And I believe when you have good intention and you're doing something for the right reasons, that like God is on your side. So that's kind of what drove me. But that faith's got to be so strong, and part of it is believing in yourself. Is, I think it's all kind of tied in.
Right. Absolutely. And guys, Farrah is so incredible. So she wrote a book, and I shared the link in the description. You can get it on Amazon. I'm waiting for mine to come. I ordered mine last night, so that the Prime better get here soon. So Diaries of a Female Real Estate Investor, that's her book, and so she's an incredible author now. I mean, she has just done so many amazing things. So I kind of want to go into like the some of the myths, I guess, about real estate investing, because, it seems very appealing. I mean, it's got the whole like glitz and glamour attached to it, and it's very attractive to a lot of people, especially women, even in this group. But, it also can be very intimidating. Like, people have these certain kind of pre-notions about, the industry, which, are not always true. So like, when you first entered this industry, like, what were some of your kind of fears about it that then you later realize, like, oh, it's actually not that way, it's this way, like, what were some of your things that you learned kind of along the way that you didn't quite know before, or, what was that journey like?
So I would say there's 2 things that really stand out. One was I was under the impression that I would have to, get maintenance calls in the middle of the night, and I would have to like physically go there and check it out. And, like, who wants to get a toilet not working in the middle of the night? So that was always stuck in my head, which is probably why, I didn't think twice about it later. Another one was that you had to have money. So now that I've been in real estate for 7 years, I have never received a call in the middle of the night about toilet not. I mean, do things happen? Yes, they do from time to time. But it's a simple text. I get a text message, and what I do is I send that text message over to my handyman or my electrician or my plumber. I have a support team with me. They go out, they assess the job, they tell me, hey, it's going to be whatever it's going to be, $150, let's just say. I'm like, all right, go ahead, take care of it. They take care of it. I Zelle pay them, all within the comfort of my home. So it's not like how it used to be. And I do want to add in there is people used to go and collect rent, right? They used to go to house to collect rent. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. There's things like auto pay in your bank account. There's things like Zelle. There's things like people can mail checks through their bank, auto bank payments or whatever. So there's not, it's basically managing from your home. So it's not that difficult. The other thing is the money, right? I always thought that you had to put like 20% down and then all that. You actually don't have to have very much money at all. I mean, the part of the group that I'm in, we all kind of help each other, is that the lenders, the private money lenders, there's people out there, people that are like my friends and people that we know, the private money lenders that fund 100% of your purchase price for the house and 100% of your rehab as well. So if somebody's funding 100% of your purchase and all the money that you'll need to fix up the place, you're not bringing money of your own. So if that's being provided to you, then you don't have to do just one house at a time. You could do 2, 3, 4, whatever the case is, right? So you can scale up and you can go pretty quickly. So I think that knowing that and that was perfect for me, because based on my situation, like when I left, right, I didn't leave with anything. I didn't even have money in my savings account. I did not have money. I was just living paycheck to paycheck. So somebody like that situation where, you know, real estate would work for that type of person is what I'm basically saying, that it doesn't matter what situation you're in.
Right. Wow. 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 What would you say about, because I've heard this before and I'm not sure if like what your opinion is on it, like having a W-2 when it comes to applying for loans and whatnot, like, is that something that's a good thing or not necessarily needed, or, you know, because sometimes, you know, couples will go in together, like husband and wife team, or even if it's someone by themselves, could they, you know, still have a job and a W-2 and get a private loan versus a commercial loan? And like how, like, I guess, like, is that something that's looked at like as a better thing, or?
Well, so I'll explain it here. So you could do real estate without having a W-2. Absolutely, all day long you can do real estate without having a W-2. Now, W-2 is not needed for any private money lenders. Private money lenders on the front end, when you're borrowing the money to buy and rehab the property, they are just looking at your deal. They're looking at your property to see if the numbers work. If the numbers work, they will give you the funding. That's not a problem at all. They don't even check your credit, none of that. They just look at the deal.
Nice.
And then on the back end, let's just say you want to keep the property as a rental, you have to refinance that property, right? Once it's all fixed up and your appraisal value is a lot higher than what you bought it for, now it's time to refi so that you can pay that short-term private money lender back. And so for that, if you don't have a W-2, you just get a commercial loan, because a commercial loan is based on the asset and that you're getting rent on the property, right? Now you can do a residential, and you could do up to 8 to 10 residential loans if you have a W-2 for your properties. The benefit of that is that your interest rate will be a little bit lower than a commercial loan. Maybe a point and a half lower. Your commercial loans right now are going from anywhere between 4% to 5.5%, which is still great, and the cash flow and still numbers still work. But just because you don't have a W-2 does not mean that you cannot do real estate. And then and when you're doing flips, you don't even need a bank on the back end, because you're flipping it, you're selling it for a profit, and then you're paying your lender off, and then you keep the rest of it.
Right. Wow. I mean, that's amazing. So basically, there's really no barriers to entry that I can think of, right? Like, there's really no like, oh, if you have this XYZ, then you can't do this.
Yeah. The only barrier to entry that people have is their mindset, honestly.
Yes. Ooh, that's powerful right there. I mean, that, or I guess you got to be 18 and older, right?
Well, not really, because if your parents help you or somebody else is over, you could partner with somebody who's a bit older.
That's true.
It's okay to have half a deal rather than a full deal. That's what I say.
And that is, man, like when you say that, like, guys, the only freaking thing between you and owning your own multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio is you. I mean, my God, that is so powerful, because how many times do we talk ourselves out of, you know, a goal or an ambition or something that we really, really, really want to do, but then we get really, really, really scared, and then we play small, and then we say, oh, you know, Farrah could do it, but, you know, I'm not good enough, or, you know, I don't know enough, or I'm not, you know, rich enough, I don't have enough money. Like, guys, she lived paycheck to paycheck. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. What says you can't? And right now the market is so hot. Like, what do you think about like getting into this market right now with real estate?
I think getting in at any time. There's, you know, people say, oh, I'm just going to wait for the prices to go down. No, get in now. There's still great deals out there. I've moved my strategy. I'm still getting stuff on the MLS, but I moved my strategy more to off-market deals. There are a ton of wholesalers out there, people who are marketing for you, meaning they go out and market. They go and knock on people's doors. They do mailers, and then they have these deals, and then they present them to people like me who buy them because they know that we're investors. So there's always, I mean, that's part of the mindset. Like when you know that there's always an opportunity, doesn't matter what situation you're in. Like that's what I firmly believe. And if it's getting started and even just getting the education, and then one thing leads to another. So
right. Yeah. Are all of your deals mostly like in the Chicago area? Are you doing anything out of state right now, or?
So yeah, most of my deals are in the Chicago suburbs, and then I am currently doing starting new construction in near Tampa, Florida. So currently I have bought 4 pieces of land that I'm going to be building duplexes on. So the goal is 18 duplexes. So I'm going to start with 4, see how they go, and then because this is brand new, right? This is like a brand new, like new construction. Is very different than buying something that's already existing. You're building from the ground up, which is very exciting, and I'm learning something new.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I overseas, that's a huge thing in India, Pakistan is, buying land and plots and, like you don't really hear about it as much here, but I think now, being in the right community and seeing where the opportunities are, absolutely. I mean, that's awesome. That's definitely exciting. Definitely.
Yeah. And the one other thing I did want to mention that a lot of people come to me and they say is, obviously we kind of, when we talked about the different barriers, one thing that people always say, well, I don't have time. Well, I did it kind of working full time and a single mom with 2 kids. So you just have to learn how to prioritize, and you prioritize differently every day, just kind of depending on what's going on with So that's something that also, you could be working full time, you could have kids, but you will be able to figure it out. It's if you have a desire to do something, you can make it happen.
Absolutely. And now you're kind of retired, right? I mean, from your from your job.
Yes, kind of. And I say kind of because originally I went from like working full time last year then to working part-time. That's kind of just dwindling, and it was really tough for me to lose my insurance career identity, I guess. So I still do it like a day a week, but yeah, I'm probably going to just focus on this.
Right. And I kind of want to talk about the group that you joined. Can you tell the ladies a little bit about the mastery program? Like, because obviously, having your own determination is great, guys, but you also need a community of people that are going to show you the how and, and how to do it and give you that handhold. Because, I heard this quote one time and it was awesome. Like, you could have a really motivated pilot, but if he doesn't know how to drive the airplane, to take off, like what good is that motivation? So you also need to be in the right community and in the right circle. So what was the community that you joined, and like what kind of people did you meet there, and like how did they kind of show you the how?
Yeah, so the community that I joined, it's actually local to Chicago, but they do seminars pretty much nationwide, virtually, is the Andrew Holmes. He does meetings all the time, and there's a 3-day that will be coming up in November as well that anyone's welcome to join. It's not a lot of money. It's like, I think it's like $60 some. I mean, that I think is where I would say where my success came from, is because I was a part of this community. There is no way I would have been able to do this completely on my own, right? So you have to learn from somebody who has done this over and over and over again. You don't learn from somebody who's just done 3 or 4 deals. You learn from people who have years of experience. And then on top of it, you need a support system. So let's just say you get a deal under contract and you're like freaking out because you're like, I don't know if this is a good deal. Well, you get tools provided so that you can, like just there's an Excel sheet, and then you fill in all your information and you can tell by a ratio if your numbers work. But even then you're like, I need somebody to physically just come and take a look at the property or look at the pictures or whatever. That support system is key, because what happens is it gives you more confidence when you know somebody else is checking your work. And once you do that, so once you do that once, twice, 3 times, after that, you're like, oh, I got this. And then each deal, you learn something new and you gain more and more confidence. And it's crazy because, now like I'm able to mentor people and help mentor people. Right. So it's like, I can't believe like I went from like not knowing a thing about real estate to like actually being able to give people some advice on, what their strategy should be or how to do a deal and all of that.
Right, right. And
But
talking
it's like the
about,
little things that you do every day.
yes, the little action steps lead to
Yeah.
big results and big
Yeah.
outcomes. And guys, Farrah put together an actual course that teaches you exactly the how, the step by step. And I put the link to that as well in the description. So please, check that out. And once you take her course, you can actually attend the 3-day event as well. So it actually, you don't have to pay for the tickets for the 3 days. It's included. So that's basically free. And the 3-day conference is truly amazing. I attended, I believe it was the first couple days, a couple of years ago, I think it was, I don't remember wearing a mask, so it must have been pre-COVID, but you truly do learn a lot. And I think, is it in Schaumburg again? I'm not sure where they're doing it.
No, it's going to be in Elmhurst this time. Yeah, in November. Yes.
So if you're local to Chicago, definitely, attend that and check out Farrah's course as well. But if you're someone who's out of state, it's okay. You can still, learn, take her course, connect with her, follow her online. And speaking of also, you do so much for, like, as I was posting all your links, I'm like, man, this girl, she's an author, she's now a mentor. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about your non-for-profit that you also started to give back, We Win. So can you talk a little bit about that too?
Yeah, sure. Me and another investor friend who's an attorney, we're both doing well together. And so when COVID hit, we were like, okay, we don't know if we should invest, we should probably wait it out a month or two and see how things are, because we were like, our tenant's going to stop paying, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a crash? All the things that kind of go into our minds, because we just didn't know what was going to happen with COVID. But luckily none of that happened. But we said, okay, how do we shift our focus and help? What can we do at this point? We are comfortable in our lives and all that sort of stuff. So what we did was we created We Win Foundation, and we actually go to different communities that we invest in or invest around. And we have been doing food drives. Like Thanksgiving, we did a turkey drive. During Christmas, we did toy drives. We gave away 3,000 toys. So we get people who donate to our foundation, a lot of investor friends who own real estate. So it's a way of like landlords giving back to the communities. And just last month we did we gave over 600 backpacks away with supplies for a couple of different schools in areas that were much needed. So we did a back to school drive. So yeah, we just kind of go out there, and there's a point in your life where you feel very blessed, and you're like, well, God has blessed me, and now I need to give back and with the resources that I have, right? So whether that's time for somebody, that's money, whatever, advice, whatever, in any form, whatever you can do. So, at the end of the day, it makes us feel good. It makes us feel fulfilled. And we just hope that we continue to grow and continue to inspire others to do the same, and continue to just keep increasing the amount that we are able to help everybody.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. I mean, you're truly a living example of someone who turned their pain into their purpose. I mean, this is like now you helping others, and through your non-for-profit and the way you're serving your community. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. And I think you and I would agree that had it not been for your painful divorce and that trauma and that horrible, experience that you went through of truly being alone and not having anything, you probably wouldn't be here today where you are.
Right, for sure. Yeah. And I think, the kids are a huge driving factor, because when you're responsible for two souls that are completely dependent on you, their failure is not an option. And I'm not gonna, rely, and it's okay if people do rely on outside assistance and things like that. But just knowing me, like when you believe that I have more potential than that, that's when you just rise to the occasion, and you just, you take one step at a time, and you're not going to always know. And I didn't know where I was going. Like, I didn't have this goal of becoming a real estate investor. I didn't even know real estate anything about it when I got divorced. But, it's just those little steps, and there's probably some path designed for you that you may not even be aware of, but if you take action, it'll lead you to that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. It's just putting one foot in front of the other and, holding on to that faith,
yes,
for dear life. And you're so right. When your intentions are pure, when your heart is pure, and like you said, you have to have a why. What is your why? If it's your kids, if it's your family, if it's, just having freedom, just pure, utter freedom of time and money, which so many people are so poor in. It's incredible. I mean, what we can do in just a matter of 7 years. 7 years is nothing, you guys. I mean, it goes by like that. I mean, I'm thinking about last 7 years, like, wow. I mean, that is not, it's better than living a life of regret. You got to hustle it out now so you can have, the life of your dreams. And so I thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for, sharing that journey, with our community and for, putting in all this amazing work and all the give back that you're doing, and for your course, and really, leading the way for all these women that want to be, exactly where you are now, maybe 7 years from now, 10 years from now. I know I do. I certainly do. You're definitely someone that I look up to a lot. I have a lot of respect for. So thank you. And any last words before we hop off here?
I want to say, I guess my last words is, like the money and everything is great, but I have a quote that I created that I didn't the value of owning your own time. Like, that's amazing. It's the most amazing feeling when I don't have to be at work at a certain time every single day living this robotic life. And I wish more people would experience that, being able to just control and own your time, because each day that lessons and lessons for everybody out here. So, but having the right resources will then have you enjoy your quality time.
I love that. And
so start now,
Yes.
There's a lot of free information out there. There's a lot of, there's something for everybody, like maybe somebody can't join the course right now, but maybe they can join the free meetings that we do once a month, like just get started, get into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. Try to attend the 3-day if you can. Like Farrah said, the tickets are not that expensive, but if you are someone ready to jump in, literally take her course. There's a lot of good stuff in there, a lot of good step-by-step juju, read her book, whatever you can do. Like Farrah said, take that first step, whatever that might look like for you, and connect with her. I love our community, and especially women like Farrah. They're so generous with their time and willing to like do something like this, with someone, we haven't even really quite, like we just literally connected like just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So they're just so generous and willing to share if you are willing to take the action, because it's up to you. We can't do it for you. You got to do it yourself. So that's like the one thing I wish I could have, like a magic potion, for people just to take that step. But that's why we keep honing in that same message with different speakers, different amazing women. Take action. Don't just feel good, listen to this live, and then go on with your lives. Take the freaking action. So who knows? Maybe 5-7 years from now, you're mentoring someone else. I mean, how great would that be? So what legacy are you leaving behind? Is the bottom line. So thank you so much again. And guys, please feel free to comment. Share. I'm blessed to have Farrah in this community as well. She's in our wonderful group too. So next level, man. Let's do it. Let's turn that mess into our message. Let's turn our pain into our power, man. Like that's where it all starts. So whatever you're going through right now, whatever struggle you're going through, it's a blessing. Look at it as, I am blessed to have this issue, this tragedy, this trauma. What can I do with it to turn my life around? Like Farrah's story. So I just. Amazing conversation. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you all soon. Mwah. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.